Have you ever felt that your own kindness is like a heavy coat you can't take off? The friendlier you are, the more people seem to push your boundaries. You say yes to keep the peace, but all you get in return are more expectations and less appreciation. We've been taught that being kind is a virtue, but there's a quiet truth that no one tells you. When kindness has no backbone, it stops being a strength. It becomes a vulnerability, an open invitation for others to walk in and drain your energy. Today, we're not learning to be cold. We're learning to be wise. This isn't about ruling over others. It's about reclaiming sovereignty over yourself. It's time to stop serving everyone else's agenda and start leading your own life with intention. So let's start with the most important question. Why are you giving away your most valuable assets, your time, your energy, and your respect, to people who haven't earned them? So we left off with the question, why are you giving away your most valuable assets for free? Now let's go deeper. Think of your kindness, your attention, and your energy, not just as feelings, but as a finite currency. Every day you wake up with a full account. Every time you smile, every time you listen, every time you help someone, you're making a transaction. You're spending a piece of your life force. The problem isn't the spending, the problem is, are you investing wisely? When you give your friendliness away to everyone without distinction, from the complaining coworker to the stranger online, you unintentionally devalue the currency itself. It ceases to be a special gift. It becomes a common commodity. You turn yourself into a public fountain. Anyone who is thirsty can come, take a drink, and walk away. They might be grateful for a moment, but they never value the wellspring that creates the water. They simply expect it to always be there, always flowing, always available. And one day, they don't even say thank you anymore. They just drink and they leave. Have you ever felt like a utility instead of a person? This is a fundamental law of human psychology, an uncomfortable but necessary truth. We only truly value that which is scarce. A diamond is precious because it is rare. A grain of sand is not. Your time, your energy, your approval, these are diamonds. Stop treating them like sand on the beach. The philosopher Machiavelli once wrote that generosity, when used improperly, leads to contempt. Through a Stoic lens, we can reframe that. Kindness without wisdom doesn't lead to love. It leads to entitlement. Let's take a very real-world example. At work, there's a colleague who's always struggling. The first time you help them, they're incredibly grateful. Thank you so much. You're a lifesaver. You feel great. The second time, the thank you is a little shorter. Thanks, man. The third time, it's just a nod. By the fourth time, they simply drop the work on your desk and say, "Can you take a look at this?" As if it's your job. And then one day you're overwhelmed and you have to say no. What happens? They're not disappointed. They are angry. They say things like, "I thought we were a team." They make you feel guilty. They act as if you've betrayed them. But what's the truth? You haven't betrayed them. You are simply trying to enforce a boundary that you yourself accidentally erased long ago. You see, when you try to please everyone, you don't earn their gratitude. You hand them power. You are teaching them how to treat you. You're telling them, your approval of me is more important than my own time and energy. And once they've learned that lesson, it is incredibly difficult to teach them a new one. So the question isn't, how do I stop being kind? The right question is, how do I start investing my kindness with purpose into the people and the things that actually make my life and the world better, instead of just leaving me drained? But to invest our kindness wisely, we first have to understand the root cause of why we give it away so freely. And that leads us to the most difficult part of this conversation. Now let's be truly honest with ourselves for a moment. Deep down, there's a voice, a relentless hunger, the hunger for approval, the hunger to be liked. It's the most silent addiction in the world, the one that quietly erodes you day by day without you even noticing. You mask it with noble words like kindness, humility, or being a team player. But what are you really doing? You're standing in an invisible marketplace using your own personality as currency, trying to buy the validation of others. Every forced smile, every nod when you disagree, every time you say it's fine when it's absolutely not. Those are the coins you're throwing away. And you know the most dangerous prison isn't the one with iron bars. It's the one built from your own need for acceptance. Its walls are invisible, painted with fleeting compliments. And the warden is your own fear, the fear of being judged, of being left out, of not belonging. Why do we fall into this trap? It's not entirely your fault. Since we were children, we've been programmed with a simple social software. Be a good boy, a good girl, and you'll be loved. Agree with everyone, and you'll be accepted. That software helped us survive the playground. But now in the adult world, it's outdated code. It's a bug that's preventing you from living an authentic life. And here's the price you pay. When the need to be liked becomes the compass for all your actions, you become predictable. And anything that is predictable is easily controlled. Think about the last time you were in a meeting. You had an idea but chose silence because you were afraid it might sound foolish. Think about the time you agreed to plans you secretly dreaded, all because you didn't want to disappoint anyone. You convinced yourself that temporary harmony was more important than your inner truth. You sacrificed your self-respect on the altar of safety. And here is the most bitter paradox, the cruel irony the universe seems to play on us. The more you try to please everyone, the more invisible you become. The harder you chase approval, the faster it runs away from you. Why? Because human beings, consciously or not, are drawn to substance. They are not drawn to desperation. When you try to please everyone, you are subconsciously sending a signal that says, "My value is conditional upon your opinion of me." And in that moment, you hand over all of your power. If you are willing to change your stance to suit whoever you're talking to, it means you don't truly have a stance. If you are everything to everyone, you are, in the end, nothing to anyone. You're just a mirror reflecting back whoever is standing in front of you. And people use mirrors, but they don't respect them. A mind trained in the Stoic way sees this trap from a mile away. It understands that likability is like the weather. It's constantly changing, unpredictable, and entirely outside of your control. Trying to manage it is an exhausting and fruitless battle. But respect is different. Respect is like a mountain. It's solid, it's firm. It's built not with agreeable words, but with consistent actions and immovable boundaries. It's built when your yes has weight because you're not afraid to say no. It's built when your actions align with your character, even when it's unpopular. Likability is soft, comfortable, passive. People like you because you don't challenge them. Respect has edges. People respect you because you challenge them to be better, and most importantly, because you challenge yourself to live by a code. So stop asking, "How can I get them to like me?" And start asking, "What action right now would make me respect myself at the end of the day?" Because when you finally earn the respect of the person in the mirror, the respect of the world will follow, not as a goal you chased, but as a natural consequence of who you've become. But earning that respect requires more than just internal validation. It requires understanding another dangerous trap we willingly walk into: the illusion of closeness. Closeness is comforting, isn't it? It feels like a warm blanket on a cold night. But here's a truth we have to confront. Power is never found in a place of comfort. You were taught to build connections, to bridge the gap, to become intimate, to build trust. It's a wonderful theory on paper, until it backfires. Because what no one teaches you is this: the moment people feel too close to you, they subconsciously begin to disrespect you. It doesn't happen overnight. It starts with the small things. They interrupt you mid-sentence. They show up late without an apology, assuming you'll understand. They ask you for favors they would never dare ask a stranger. Closeness, in the wrong hands, turns kings into commoners. It dissolves boundaries and strips away the aura of authority you once held. Why do kings sit on thrones, elevated above everyone else? It's not for comfort. It's for distance. The throne is isolated. It creates a physical and psychological space between the ruler and the ruled. Because space creates mystery, and mystery breeds respect. The moment you step down from your proverbial throne, become too accessible, too familiar, you kill the very atmosphere of reverence power depends on. Think of the lion. It does not play in the fields with the sheep. It watches from the shadows, moves with silence, and strikes with precision. It is the distance between the lion and the rest of the world that commands fear and respect. But imagine if that lion started living among the sheep, eating with them, sleeping near them, brushing shoulders with them daily. At first, the sheep would be startled. Then they'd get curious, and soon enough they wouldn't even flinch when it roared. Why? Because they know it too well. Familiarity has killed their fear, and with it, their respect. This is exactly what happens when you get too close. In the workplace, the boss who overshares at after-work drinks soon finds their directives lose their weight. In friendships, the friend who is available 24/7 is soon taken for granted. People no longer listen to you because they respect your wisdom. They listen because they don't want to hurt your feelings. That's not power. That's pity. A Stoic mind never makes this mistake. It understands that distance isn't just physical. It's psychological and strategic. It knows when to withdraw, when to hold silence, when to disappear for a while. Because absence speaks far louder than presence. When you're always there, you become part of the furniture, easily overlooked. But when you strategically remove yourself, when you create a void, people feel it. Your silence forces them to think. Your absence forces them to reevaluate your importance. And in that empty space, power and respect are reborn. You do not owe the world your constant access. You do not need to explain your distance or apologize for creating space for yourself. Because in that space, you hold leverage. And leverage is not found in warmth, it's found in restraint. A person who maintains their distance can never be fully understood. And what cannot be fully understood cannot be fully controlled. Most of us spend our entire lives playing a game we can never win. The game of controlling other people. We try to shape their thoughts, change their feelings, and dictate their actions. We use persuasion, manipulation, and even our own kindness as tools to keep others in line. And while we are absorbed in that futile war, we ignore the one battlefield where victory is actually possible, the battlefield within our own minds. Here is an iron law of power. If you cannot control your emotions, other people will. If your feelings rule you, then your opponents don't even need to lift a finger to defeat you. They just need to know how to play your emotions, and you will destroy yourself on their command. Watch the average person. Their behavior is a direct mirror of what they feel. If they're angry, they lash out. If they're anxious, they hesitate. If they're hurt, they seek revenge. Their emotions are their master, not their tool. But that is not how a trained mind thinks. A Stoic mind doesn't fight to control the external world. It fights to master the internal one. Because it understands that when your reactions are disciplined, your actions become unpredictable. And in the world of strategy, unpredictability is power. When someone knows how to make you react, they own you. If they know an insult can trigger your anger, they will provoke you at the exact moment you need a clear head. If they know flattery can buy your loyalty, they will use praise to set a trap for you. But what happens if you become immune? What happens if you can hear criticism without feeling the need to defend yourself? Receive praise without an inflated ego? Walk through conflict without losing your center? Then no one can move you. You become a mountain in the middle of a storm. People mistake emotional control for coldness. That's a damaging misconception. It is not coldness. It is focus. When your emotions are in check, you don't become less human. You become more strategic. You no longer seek revenge just because you're hurt. You act with intention, not on impulse. Practice this. The next time someone says or does something that triggers a strong emotion in you, create a pause. A 3-second gap between the stimulus and your response. In those 3 seconds, take one deep breath. That space is where your true power is born. It's where you go from being the puppet to the puppeteer. When you are insulted and you respond with a steady silence instead of rage, you gain ground. When someone tries to guilt trip you and you refuse to fold, they lose their power. When chaos erupts around you and you remain the calm center, you become the center of gravity. When your mind is no longer cluttered with emotional noise, you begin to see the world with astonishing clarity. You read people like a surgeon studies anatomy. Every gesture, every glance, every hesitation tells a story. The most powerful people are not the loudest. They are the most composed. They walk slower, speak less, and smile only when it's genuine. Not because they're trying to control what others think of them, but because they are fully focused on controlling how they respond to the world. And when people realize they can't read you, can't move you, and can't predict your next move, they begin to respect you. Sometimes even fear you. You become a puzzle they can't solve, and all of it, not because you controlled them, but because you finally mastered yourself. And so we've seen the 4 invisible chains for what they are. Friendliness without strategy becomes a vulnerability. The need to be liked becomes a cage. Too much closeness erodes respect. And uncontrolled emotion opens the door to manipulation. You were taught to be soft, to be agreeable, but no one ever told you the price of that softness. And that price is sovereignty over your own life. So what is the path forward? To earn respect, you must learn the value of scarcity. Your presence, your time, your approval, these should be earned, not given away freely. To be influential, you must master an inner calm that makes you both solid and unreadable. This is not a call for cruelty or coldness. This is a call for wisdom. It is the discipline to act with intention, not to react on impulse. Because in the end, true power does not belong to the one who is trying to please the external world. It belongs to the one who has mastered the world within themselves.